It is now time to experience the buzz, a podcast that takes an inside look at amazing people doing amazing things. Get ready for some great conversation that will be fascinating, educational, and inspiring. We will also leave room to help small businesses in a big way. Now, here's your host, entrepreneur Steve Buzzard.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in. It's another edition of Experience the Buzz. It is a podcast, and I'm your host, Steve Buzzard. And as I get adjusted here, I am so excited for today's episode as we are going to be talking about the CEA. Go ahead. Do you know? No, even I didn't know. It is the California Employers Association. Best kept secret in California. And you're going to find out why. Today we are talking to Kim Gusman. That's right. And she is the president and CEO. So not only are we going to learn about the CEA, but we're going to learn more about Kim and the fact of she is an incredible leader for a great organization. She's been doing it for 20 plus years for an organization that's been around since 1940. That's right. But we're going to hear more about Kim in just a moment. But right now it's time for What's the Buzz? And I was thinking, it's about that time for stats. I love stats. I love sports, statistics, everything. And I thought it was pretty cool. I wanted to dive back in and I use what's called Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is kind of the home of where we do our podcasts and everything. And it's still amazing to look at the top episodes, and they are still the early days. Monica Dinan, who is the former owner, she sold her business, believe it or not, to Bueno Sport and Swim, is still our top episode, followed by, guess who? The former announcer of the Sacramento Kings, Grant Napier. And then following that is Amanda Bolden. She's an influencer, and I knew her because she was a parent at the school that I taught at. And then Tim Collum, who was our very first episode. So those are the top four right there. And I say that because what's great about these conversations that I'm able to have is like you can go to any of those and they're going to stand the test of time. So I invite you to go back. Monica Dinan was number 11. Grant Napier was episode number 49. Amanda Bolden was number 13. And Tim Collum, well, he was number 3. He was our first interview before we did the trailer and then the episode. The first episode that kind of explains my entrepreneur journey. Also interesting to know that most of you, 47% of you that hop on board on the audio side, listen through Apple Podcasts, which I think is pretty cool. I thought Spotify would be more, but they're actually fourth on the list under unknown Apple apps, which I imagine would be Apple Podcasts as well, and through the Wix app. So when we say that, that's when you go straight to the website at buzzardball.com and you can listen to the podcast through there as well. And then another percentage of you listen to it through the web browser. So that's from the audio end. Now, when we get to the video end, starting with, episode number 80. You may remember Chemo and Dakota of Fruit Frenzy. They were our first episode. That was the debut of my producer, Michael Kenobi. That's right. And so 80 up to 120. So 40 episodes we are celebrating, putting together on our YouTube channel. That's Experience the Buzz. Very easy to find. But this is the most interesting thing. You never know when an episode is going to pop. And that happens for Stevie Maida. Now, Stevie Maida was episode number 114, so just 6 episodes ago, and he has got the most views, and it's not even close, okay? He's got 152 views. Now, everything's relative, right? I'm not in the thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions or anything, but 152 views compared to what we usually get for episodes is pretty amazing. So I don't know how the word got out, but I think that's very cool. And of course, it was a fun episode, 11-year-old talking about his golf journey. So I invite you to go to the channel. Everything is there. And then the last piece of this is I wanted to tell you that we also have been gaining a lot of traction from the subgenre of Experience the Buzz, which is called First Look. It's under the umbrella of Heavy Metal Thunder. It's just reaction videos to heavy metal. If you don't like heavy metal, you could pay a visit and laugh at it and stuff. But if you do like heavy metal, I'll tell you what, we're having some fun. And that's why right now we are currently, as I speak, at 751 subscribers. Before we started First Look, we were under 100. So we've been getting a lot of traction with that, and that's a lot of fun. And of course, you can check that out. They're called First Look Reactions. So anyways, whether it's from the video side or the audio side, I always encourage people, go into the archives, check out these fun conversations that we're having with people that are right here from Sacramento. And so that's what we're getting to. We're getting from someone else who is not from Sacramento. She was actually from Oregon, lived in Oregon, growing up and stuff, but her business is right here in Sacramento. She lives in Elk Grove. It is Kim Gusman, and she is the CEO of the CEA. And you're going to find out more about what the CEA is all about and, of course, what Kim is about. Enjoy the conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome in. It is Experience the Buzz, and I'm your host, Steve Buzzard, and it is episode number 120. How about that? And we are so excited because we've got another guest for you. She is Kim Gusman, and Kim is the CEO of the CEA. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the CEA? Well, it is the California Employers Association. She is the president and CEO. That means she is top dog of a big company. And I told Kim before this conversation, I don't know a lot about this subject, but I'm very excited about what we're going to talk about today. And first thing that we have to do, though, is welcome our guest. Kim, welcome to Experience the Buzz.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very good. And I should say this, Gusman, right? It just rolls off the tongue, right?
Well, you know, it can be said a few ways. So Gusman is actually the official way to say it, and usually seen spelled with a Z, but because it is spelled now with an S, a lot of times it does get a little mispronunciation, but call me either one.
Okay, either one, but I'm going to go with the real one because I am a broadcaster, so I want to make sure I got it right. And see, we did it right here on the show. We got it all taken care of. So Kim Gusman is with us. And so Kim, tell us, I went to the website and I read the definition of what you do, but I'm thinking it's going to sound so much better coming from you. So just do it. Explain what it is that you guys do at the CEA.
Sure. So, there's so many different associations out there for a lot of different industries, dentists or plumbers or whatever it might be. So we are the California Employers Association, and our whole mission is providing peace of mind for employers. So there's all kinds of wonderful resources for employees when they're struggling or they have questions, but sometimes employers, particularly smaller employers that don't have an HR team, they're like, how do I navigate this COVID? Or I've got somebody who's pregnant, I'm not sure what to do. Nobody wants to get in trouble. Nobody wants to go to court. So, how can I find answers? And so we are a not-for-profit trade association specifically for employers in the state of California.
Okay, and it's got history, right, since 1940. So it's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, long before me. I have been lucky enough to have had the honor and privilege. I've got a group, we've got a team of 24, and I've been here for 20 years now, and it's really exciting. I mean, it's never a dull moment, right? With employees and employers and human beings, we have issues. And California has got a whole lot of rules and regulations and things like that, and so it's never a dull moment, and I always say I got some good job security because you just never know what's going to happen in the employee-employer world.
Exactly, and I'm trying to take this all in, the wealth of knowledge that you and your team have to be able to provide for employers. You just kind of scratch the surface of things coming up, and then of course we have the whole COVID thing, right? That must have been a whole new world for all of us, including yourself. Kind of give us what does it look like if I'm an employer? What type of employers come to you? I imagine it's small, big, in between, right?
Yeah, we really have, I'd say about 70% of our employers that join us are about 50 employees and under.
Okay.
The other 30% are going to be your bigger employers. And so they come to us for different reasons. So again, if it's a smaller employer, again, they might be looking for forms and fact sheets. Again, they want to make sure they hire right. How do I fire right? How do I stay out of court? A lot of compliance. Or they might just want to know, I've got a brand new manager and I don't know how to go from bud to boss with this person. Can you help me with coaching that person? And, we also do a lot of work with like pay transparency. That's the new thing now is, am I paying my employees right? Am I paying them enough? How do I do performance reviews? So they say it's, everything in that employee life cycle, from when you first hire somebody and onboard them to all the different things that could happen in that whole time that somebody's employed by you, and then ending that employment life cycle with a retirement, or maybe it's a termination, or maybe somebody chooses to quit your company. How do you handle that? So we kind of do the whole gamut. And after during the pandemic, it was all about COVID, and all the COVID rules and regulations. But it's kind of funny, in the last 6 months now, it's all about investigations. There's now that people are coming back to work, there's just a lot. People appear to be more emotional, and I'm talking about whether you're the boss or you're the employee. It doesn't matter. There's just so investigations are our hot spot now. We're doing anywhere from 2 to 4 investigations all over the state every single week after week after week, just because there's a lot of conflict in the workplace right now, it seems like.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, again, taking this all in, it's so much, right? But I just love the confidence like you exude in what you're able to do. And as I was thinking about being able to jump into this conversation, it reminded me of the show, like kind of like Dirty Jobs, where they talk about these jobs that you don't think of. This is one like I would never think of, but it's so important. So if you're covering the state of California, what does that entail? Like how many people, how many employers are like coming to you? You did the percentage, which I think was great, 70%, 50 or under, the other 30% are bigger. But overall, what is the scope of this thing?
Yeah, it's growing a lot. We actually, in our database, we're touching base each year with about between 22,000 and 25,000 employers across the state. But what we've really been doing a lot of is providing support to counties. So that is really kind of, I don't even have all the numbers on that. For example, we just went ahead and signed a contract with the city of Glendale. So the city of Glendale wants us to be able to take phone calls from all the employers of Glendale. We've now done that for Orange County, which of course is huge. We're doing that in Alameda County, Contra Costa County. So all these counties are now coming to us and saying, we want to buy what we're calling an HR hotline, that's what they're calling it, for the employers in our area, so they don't have to, so we can use their taxpayer dollars at work. And we can actually help these smaller businesses not have to go get an attorney every time they have a question, or they need their handbook updated, or whatever it might be. So that 22,000 I have in our database are people who have shared all their data with us. But there are other people who are calling us and asking us for, I've got somebody, she's pregnant, I don't know what to do. And they may or may not be willing to give us all that, but they're calling on a hotline for another county. Could be Fresno or, anywhere. So we've got 19 different counties that we're working with, and all the employers in those prospective counties.
So Kim Gusman is our guest, and we're finding out more about what is called the California Employers Association. Doesn't roll off the tongue like I wanted to. She is the president and CEO, and has been doing it now, 20 plus years, right, with the organization?
Yeah. Last year I celebrated 20 years in position. My kids, my kids are both in their 30s, and they're like, oh, 20 years. Oh, that's horrible. And I'm like, I'm proud of that.
Of course you should be. Yes.
But I think that's a generational thing, maybe. I don't know.
I think so too. There's something to be said about loyalty. I was 26 years as a teacher, and I've been an entrepreneur for I don't know how long, just it's countless. So as long as you're loving what you do, which I assume that you do love what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Our whole team is really passionate about it. It was kind of fun. It's been fun building our team over the years. So many of us really, when we joined CEA, are we've already been there and done that. And by that I mean, we've had that corporate job. We've had that, climbing the ladder and jockeying for position and red tape and, agendas and all that. And that's not what we're about. We're really I just am passionate about helping employers be the best version of themselves, because if your employers are doing it right and treating the employees right, everybody's happy. It's just a much better world, right. Much better place for all of us. So it's what's great is so many of we just have an incredibly professional well-rounded staff. And that, like you mentioned, Steve, it is so funny because, yeah, we're in the world of association, but we're also in the world of human resources.
Yes.
But we have a whole marketing team. And we also have, a team of, we have some attorneys that are doing the investigations. So there's so many jobs within the overall organization,
So I want to focus in more, I guess, on the small businesses. This show's about entrepreneurs, small business owners.
Sure.
You obviously cover large gamut, the state of California, like we talked about. You're dealing with counties, but you did say 70% are businesses that are 50 or under, and that's kind of where I want to go into is.
Sure.
What that process looks like. Like, how would someone find you, know to go to you, ask the right questions, and would you? How does that whole process work?
Well, we have a great marketing team, so we get an awful lot of our referrals. Our people are just Googling,
Okay,
right? They're
yeah.
out there saying, "I need harassment prevention training for my employees. What do I do?" And then we oftentimes come up on the first page. And we've made it, again, because we are not-for-profit trade association, it's all about being cost-effective. So for $99 a month, as low as $99, any employer in California can join. And they get unlimited phone advice with our team of 24. They get access to 300 forums. They get free online harassment prevention training. It's amazing what we do for $99 a month. So we try to make it affordable for everybody. And then, of course, there's some employers who say, well, I want you to come on site and do some leadership coaching, maybe like I mentioned, and that would be an add-on. But when somebody joins, we make sure you have a poster, right, the employment poster. And then we have a lot of free webinars throughout the year, like on 2023 labor law updates. And we're having one on April 20th about cannabis in the workplace, 420. We're trying to be cool. So we're just trying to kind of just stay on top of everything so that a small business owner, you're just trying to run your business. So come here when when those other HR issues pop up, because the rest of the time you're trying to run whatever entrepreneurial business you have out there.
So Kim, that's the nugget of gold right there. $99 get you in.
Yep.
And wait,
Yep.
Did you say monthly or annual?
Monthly, $99 a month, and you get unlimited phone. You can call, and we do. We have some employers who might call us every single day of the week. Now I got another issue. Now I got this issue.
Yep.
And you can even request, we have a team of people, like I say, HR experts, subject matter experts who are answering the phones. But maybe you get really attached to somebody who you really like, so you can even ask for that person and say, I really want to talk with Mary or Craig or Astrid or whoever it might be. And then we're just, we're helping you. We're either directing you to the resource, we're giving you the resource, we're coaching you. But at the end of the day, we always tell, we're not attorneys. We're not here to give you legal advice. And we also say, you're the one, it's your business. So we're just here as a sounding board, a coach, a resource. And then, at the end of the day, how do you want to handle the situation you presented us with? But it's just so nice. It's lonely at the top. When you're running a business, small or big. That is what we hear consistently. It's kind of lonely at the top. I'm not sure if I only have 7 or 12 employees, who do I talk to about whether I should give Johnny a raise or give Mabel a whatever? You know what I mean? It's just, I think people really enjoy being able to talk with subject matter experts as much as you want,
Yeah, I think the verbiage you used that I really like that popped out to me is peace of mind. I love that, and I'm also about experience too. It's the name of the show, Experience the Buzz, but everything I do, I try to look at it as being an experience. And this truly now, it's coming to full color for me, because to me, this seems like it's a no-brainer, right? That's an investment right there of just over $1,000, where you've got the access to everything that you need to give you what you call peace of mind to run your business correctly and effectively.
Exactly. Yeah, that's our goal. That's our goal. Just make your life easier, lighten your load as an employer or business leader or manager. What can we do to help you do what you do better?
So talk to me about your team of 24. So when you came in, how did it look when you came in, and you said you built this team and stuff? Kind of give me that journey.
Sure. Yeah, that was fun. So I came from private sector. So my experience, first job was Dairy Queen back when I was 15. A lot of other fast food.
I worked for Dairy Queen, by the way.
Oh,
yes.
Those dilly bars and all that good stuff.
Oh man.
And so, when that I think was a great job and also many others I had in high school on customer service and giving people what they want and being there for people. And then went to college in Bend, Oregon, and then finished my college in Tacoma, Washington at the University of Puget Sound. And it was all about business and HR. And then I went to work in Safeco for insurance. I also worked for Target stores and got a wonderful retail background. Again, customer service, hard work ethic, a lot of work. Then I was in glass manufacturing. So what I loved was I really had, I had retail, I had manufacturing, which I love manufacturing, and then also white collar, insurance. And so I had a little bit of that, but it all, so much is the same when it's just HR and people and business leaders. And so when I was presented with the opportunity to be able to lead at California Employers Association, there were 4 employees.
Wow.
I came in and they said, we've got about a year and we have no money hardly, so we got a year to either turn it around or shut it down, was what the board of directors
Okay,
told
so
me.
it was at a pivotal point, right? Because we said the history goes back to 1940, so we're at a pivotal point where this is kind of make it or break it.
Yes, and I had a great board of directors, and again, I hadn't even been in the world. I kind of told that story to say I hadn't been in the world of associations. I didn't really get it, but I think that was what has been successful, is that I had a business mindset. I have a private sector mindset, and so it was all about the making the bottom line and being efficient with what we had and making a difference. And so when I came in, we had 365 members. And we had a budget of about under $500,000 a year. We're not a lot higher. We're at $3 million a year now.
Okay.
But again, 4 employees and me, and it was really about just do the right thing. And things were just kind of in a mess. So and I was the first woman that they had ever brought into that role.
Let's go.
So, which I didn't know at the time, which is probably good. I didn't find that out till later on when I started looking back through the history and went, oh, there was never a woman here. And HR and it was called personnel administration and things like that back in the day was really predominantly men, and now it's really shifted the other way. But anyway, so I came in and I really was like, no nonsense. This is what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it, and very positive and supported by the board, and we got to turn things around. And I think within like 3 or 4 weeks, 3 of the 4 people quit immediately. They just were like, we don't want to work for some young woman, and you got pie in the sky, and we like how it was, and we were doing our own thing, and now you're going to hold us accountable. Gosh forbid, and so it really, it was a far cry, and financially really in the dumps. And now we have money in a investment account, and we have 24 people, and we have a much bigger budget, and we're really doing a lot more. And but we really do. We hold everybody accountable, myself included. And so over the years, I just brought people in. I threw out ads like we all do. Back in the day, we didn't have Indeed and ZipRecruiter and all these wonderful tools. We barely had a website 20 years ago. But I found other people, and again, mainly the people I brought in were people who were towards the end of their career, and they just wanted to make a difference, and they just wanted to share their knowledge, and they just wanted to help people. And again, they'd already had those big high-paying jobs and all that, and they just wanted to really make a difference. I know I've said that 3 times, sorry, but that really was the passion. And everybody I've brought in since then, that has been the single factor, because you could make more money. I do my best to keep us at we were not making the most we could make. Any of us could make a whole lot more somewhere else. Yeah. We're also not, we're not making okay. We're just kind of right in the middle. But it's more about the peace of mind we have for ourselves. And we really, hey, let's work-life balance. Before work-life balance was cool, we were, let's try and keep it to 40 hours a week instead of 60 or 80 like many of us had done. And just have fun, and it's a very collaborative. So I never felt like it was me running the organization. I felt like it was a collaboration of all of these, I'm a huge believer in, 4 heads are better than 1, and 5 heads are better than 4, and so on and so forth. And so I think also the people I hired enjoyed being a part of the process of growing it and saying, well, what if I have an idea? Well, let's try it. Let's make it happen. Let's do what you want to do. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll try another idea, And so it's been really fun. I am really lucky, and it's really cool to work with such great professional people that are also just real. And I know that word authentic gets thrown around a lot, but we're kind of all ourselves and just professional, but responsible human beings,
Kim, I can see why you're a great leader. I mean, just in that right there, it's just about that presence and everything. And I know that first part where you said 3 or 4 quit. Well, what you just did there is you filtered out the people that were not going to be on what I like to call the energy bus. I read this book by John Gordon, and it has stuck with me. It's like either be on the bus or get off, next stop, right? And so you figured that out, and instead of being scared or fearful of it, it's like, okay, this is the filtering system, let's move forward. So it's like you really went in there with a presence, and obviously you've done a great job over your 20-year span. And now looking at it, it's like, I'm sure you're looking back like, okay, this has been pretty good.
Yeah, I feel really good about it, and I do feel grateful, and I think that's, it's all about, it's easy. We all have those days where I've got to go to work or I've got to go do this, but I do really try to surround myself with people and books and coaches and everything that says, no, I get to do this. I could be doing a lot of other stuff. I'm really lucky to get to do this, and again, doesn't mean every day is perfect, but I'd say a good 90% of the time it's pretty darn great.
I love it. And so this really speaks to, find your passion, people. And when you find it, that's where you belong. That is where you belong. So, it's strange in the sense that Kim, works this job that involves the state of California, but you can see the entrepreneur qualities that definitely shine within her. So that's what I love about it. And that's going to take us to the end of segment 1, because we got another segment coming up. I want to dive a little bit deeper, kind of know a little bit more about Kim. She kind of gave us a little history of kind of her journey and everything, but what is it about her that has led her to this spot? That's what we're going to get into and more, and also the qualities of being a leader and having a good workplace, because even though she's providing that service for thousands of people, she too has to run a business, right? So she's got everything right in front of her. So don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from our sponsors and come back with segment 2. It's Experience the Buzz. Kim Gusman, who is the CEO of the CEA, will be back right after this. All right, segment 1 in the books. Hope you enjoyed that. We got more to come with Kim Gusman, the CEO of the California Employers Association. I was having some trouble saying that, but there you go. Say it a little bit slower, and I think it works a little bit better. Big thank you to our sponsors. So glad to have 3 amazing small businesses on board. R5 Stitch and Print, run by a good friend, Troy Rousey. Go to their website, r5print.com. You can start right there, or just give them a call, 916-454-3773. I think the big thing that they have is that they have high precision machines that are going to do almost anything you can think of, okay? They've done a lot for me in terms of the podcast, Experience the Buzz, and my overall company, Buzzard Ball. So I'm very thankful to Troy. He also has a graphic designer on hand that can help you. They can put together a portfolio. I'm a visual guy, so anything I asked for, I said, hey, can you just give me a visual or portfolio on that? Boom, they deliver. I can look at it and say, hey, we can change this, or that looks good. And so that's very good. So anything you need, like for your company, personal, whether it be like a little league or whatever it might be, Troy and his team can do. Again, that's R5 Stitch and Print. Next up, I'd like to thank Pit Boss Jerky. Joe Green, he's doing great. Things are growing for him. He's been telling me that, outside of just calling the order line, okay, so you can get on the order board. Let me give you that number. It is 916-769-6807. Okay, and what that does, that puts you in direct contact with the Pit Boss himself, Joe. You can place your order from there. What has happened over the last few months is now Pit Boss Jerky is inside of a couple places. It's in Knee Deep Brewery in Auburn, if you're in that area. And then most notably at is it Amy Hardware? Yes, Amy Hardware. I was almost going to say something else. Good thing I didn't do that. Amy Hardware, and there are 3 locations. 2 of them are right here in Sacramento, and then the newest is up in El Dorado Hills. And he's been telling me they've been selling out of the beef jerky, and it is incredible. When I first tasted it, I said, man, hands down, this is the best beef jerky. And man, I even got our own flavor called Experience the Buzz. Can you believe that? That's right. We named it. And I actually had fun being part of that process of being able to come up with the flavor. And I think you'll really like it, along with raspberry apple chipotle. Island teriyaki is very powerful and very popular. And then the keto mix, they got a keto mix as well as some other flavors. So again, the order board is 916-769-6807. And then finally, we'd like to thank Little Whale Swim School. They are the premier swim school in Sacramento. And as you know, summer is just around the corner. But the cool thing about Little Whale is that they are open year round. So even though summer is around the corner, it's like, man, no better time to get in there, get your swim lessons for a baby all the way up to adults. If you're looking for a job, there are definitely some job possibilities for people that would like to work at Little Whale, and you can go to their website at littlewhaleswim.com or call them at 916-790-5945. Little Whale Swim School, where it's always time to swim, right? Is that what they say? No, it's always summer at Little Whale. That's what it is. Okay. All right, we're just going to keep that in there. Anyways, big thank you, Little Whale Swim School, Pit Boss Jerky, and R5 Stitch and Print. You know what? We keep it raw here. We keep it real. Let's get back to our conversation with the lovely Kim Gusman as we continue to find out more about what she's all about.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode of Experience the Buzz by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. It means everything. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Steve Buzzard with Kim Gusman, and we are talking about the California Employers Association. See, if I say it a little bit slower, it rolls off the tongue a lot better. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie Neely. She was actually responsible for referring Kim to the show, and I'm so glad. And I love these referrals because I was very upfront with Kim saying, I don't know much about this subject, but it also made me think of other conversations that I've had where I've been in the same boat, and me being a freak about wanting to do preparation and everything. There's been times where I just have to come into the conversation, and that's happened here. But you can see through the first segment, like we are on to something, and it's so great to have Kim on the program. So as we continue, you know, what was it for you as a kid? Like, what did you dream of doing? Like, when we get to a spot like where you and I are at right now, we don't often think, okay, that's what we were thinking of when we were 8, 9, 10 years old. Some people, yes, but I'm curious what it is for you.
You know, it's so funny. I think what I really thought I wanted to do was to be a hairdresser and a nail technician.
There we go.
That was like in high school. I remember I kept telling my parents I'd like to go to beauty school and I'd like to do this. And they were like, you know, that's fine. That's a great career and you can do that. But let's at least talk about going to college to find out what other opportunities are there to see what you really want. And then, like I mentioned in the first segment, you know, I started working at I started helping my girlfriend when I was 14. She had a mint farm, and so she and I would go and hoe the mint every summer. And so we did that for 2 or 3 summers. I had horrible allergies and didn't realize I was allergic to mint. But we did that during the summers. But then during the year, then like I said, I was working at Dairy Queen, and then I was working. And I lived in a small town. We had a very small town of Prineville, Oregon, which is actually where Les Schwab started.
Okay. Okay, a little history.
Yeah, but I think it was just more. Then I started going as I did those jobs and fast food and whatnot. I did know it was just about people. I did know, yeah, I like working with others, like everybody says, you know. And I really did, though. I liked people. I extrovert, and I get energy from other extroverts, and like you, and so I knew I liked working with people, and I also just was enjoying business in general. But again, I didn't know what to do with that, so when I went to college, I just took general, 4-year business administration with an emphasis in human resources, which I really didn't know anything about. But it was more about just keeping things broad and open because I wasn't sure.
So in many conversations I have with like people like yourself, it's like you described too, like all the different things that you did, right? And I always say that's part of what you put in your tool belt to get you to where you are today. So I am curious of what was the job prior to when you landed with the CEA, and then tell me about getting hired, like that whole process. So like for me as a broadcaster, like, you know, I remember getting a call, Steve, we are interested in having you be our play-by-play guy. Like that was very exciting. Now I couldn't take that job, but that was a big moment for me. So with this, what was that process for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was working most recently prior to this job. I was working in the glass manufacturing industry, and I'd been in that industry for, I want to say maybe 7, 8 years, and I really loved it. I loved glass manufacturing. I worked in Oregon, and I actually was brought into California to open up a glass factory in California as well, in Galt. And what was interesting was I was very naive about that I was in such a male-dominated world. I understood. I mean, I knew I was always, you know. And I was the HR manager, but then I got promoted into operations, and then I got promoted to assistant plant manager, and I worked a lot. I mean, you know, 70, 80 hours a week. My husband at the time and children will attest to how much I was working, which is unfortunate. But I loved, again, what I did, and I was walking with the district manager one day through the glass plant, and I said something about, you know, I can't wait someday to have my own plant. And he was wonderful in that he was honest, and again, this is 21 years ago, actually. And he said, you know, oh gosh, is that what you're aspiring to? And I said, well, yeah, you know, I'm always going to go up. That's just, and he said, well, you know, that's not ever going to happen. We don't have women as plant managers. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, no, it's just not part of our culture. You know how we do it. We bring in guys. They're normally in their mid 40s. You know, we give them a Viper. We go on these trips, and that's guys only, and that just would never work with us. And I have to say, you know, I went home just shocked. I don't know why.
But Kim, isn't that crazy that what you're saying was just 20 years ago? That those words were coming out of people's mouth. That to me is shocking. I'm blown away by hearing just that statement. Wow.
Well, and you know what's funny is I think I've had to kind of think about it, because I feel sometimes guilty that at the time I didn't want to be the Joan of Arc. In other words, you know, I came home and I spent a lot of time talking to my husband at the time about that and saying, you know, and now I can joke and say I hit the glass ceiling at the glass factory. But at the time, I wasn't thinking it was so funny. And I was just like, I don't even know what to do, because this is what I've been aspiring to for the last 7, 8 years in this role, working my Katushi off. And I just assumed I was going to get to the top. And now I'm being told, and I wasn't even upset with the person, because he didn't tell me in a mean way. He was actually kind of like a grandfatherly way saying, and so I went back to him and I said, if you really think I'm never going to get any further here, then I don't want to waste any more time. I knew I didn't really want to like go do a lawsuit. I didn't want to go through the drama that would have entailed. And I'm sure I could have gotten a settlement. That wasn't what, I didn't think emotionally I wanted that for me. Yeah. Not that it's, I mean, I applaud everybody who stands up. But
that's a decision, you have to make. That's kind of the fork in the road. Do I want to go down here? Yeah, so totally understood.
And so I went back to this man who I valued and who was a mentor, and I said, what should I do then? And he said, have you ever considered the world of associations? And I said, I don't even know what that is. And he said, it's a wonderful opportunity. He goes, associations are great because A, they're female friendly. B, you get to run the show, which is what you're wanting to do. Yeah. And see, we're in Sacramento, and there's like hundreds and hundreds of associations. You'll have no trouble. And so my husband and I talked it over and said, you know what? And so I went back to my boss, who was not that gentleman, and just said, I'm giving you a 6-month notice. Wow. I got to get out. I got to figure it out. I don't know what to do. And I really went into quite a deep depression on that, you know, and just trying to understand and wait, life isn't working out like I thought, and my Pollyanna, whatever, you know. And so I ended up finding a job on the internet with the California Rehabilitation Association. Okay. It was the very first job I applied for, took it. Horrible role for me. It was the event planner. I'm so not detail oriented, but I'm just like, I got to do associations. I'll take this one. It's the first one. I applied. I got it. I'm doing it. And within I was there maybe 6 months, not doing well with it. And I was at the gym and I met a gentleman who I was working out next to on elliptical. And he said, you know, I'm on this board And, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm HR, but I'm operations, but I had to leave the glass factory, but now I'm at this association, but I'm not an event planner. And he's like, well, I'm the head of the board for the California Employers Association.
Get
We're
out of town.
Interviewing.
Wow.
We have 80 people that are interviewing, and I will interview. Our board of directors will interview you if you have HR experience, leadership experience, operations experience, and some association experience. And it was, meant to be moment. And I was went through 3 or 4 rounds of interviews and was granted the position. And it's really, So what a wild,
Yes.
get there.
But so necessary. And this is such a key point, because everybody, we all want to naturally focus on success, right? And doing well. And like you said, the Pollyanna, like the vision and everything. But we know that every story that is told is going to have the dips, but the dips mean something. And I always say it's not the adversity that's the problem, it's how you respond to the adversity. So 2 key people came into your life. One told you something that was very shocking, but ended up, kind of connecting the dot to the next person,
Right.
to the next person, and now here you are. So that's when you can look back and say, you know what? Yes, hard moments, very tough, went through a hard time, but I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. When you hear those cliches about, a door closes and a window
Yep.
opens or whatever. Those cliches are true,
They are. I have no problem with cliches. I have no problem with cliches. So you get in. Okay, so you have, like you said, the 3 or 4, 3 end up quitting. You start building your team and stuff. Where were the people? What were the qualities that you were looking for? I know you talked about people just like being real and, the balance of life and stuff, but what were those particular things that you were looking for as you were building your squad?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. And I'm thinking back to the first people I hired. I really, again, it was the collaboration piece.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you want to be a part of something where you're going to help me build this, I am not doing this on my own. So I need people who, want to make a difference, who want to dedicate everything here to building something with me. And everybody I brought on, again, they were those kind of people. They were tired of the BS of the corporate world. They were tired of posturing, and they just wanted to be them and give me the best part of themselves. And I was willing, because I knew salaries were lower, I was willing to really negotiate with them, meaning you want to work from your home before working from home was cool, right? Or even, but you can work from home, you can do it here. I really just looking for people who had grit, who had already proven themselves, and I could see that in their resume. I wasn't looking for green people. I was looking for experienced people who'd been around the block a couple of times, knew what they wanted, knew what they had to contribute, and could say that, and so they would come in and say, here's what I've got, and it was really not hard to build that team. Honestly, it was just a lot of really open, honest discussions about what we wanted to make together. And I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, it's a great answer. What was the pivotal point for you as a leader that you saw that things were starting to change, right? You came in, make it or break it, lose people, you're starting to build your team. Was there something in particular that you remember, you're like, okay, we are turning a corner? I'm sure there's been, peaks and valleys, but something that sticks out for you.
Sure. I remember, again, the board had kind of said you've got 1 year to make it happen, and honestly, at the end of the first year, we weren't making it happen. And it took us 3 years. 3 years was our thing. At our third, and I was big about transparency and trust are my things. So every month we're doing the financial statements. Everybody sees how much we're making, how much we're losing, why we're losing it, how we're losing it, where we're making it. And it was 3 years, and also I'll say that to people who are starting out, before we were making a profit. And we're not for profit, so it's not supposed to be about that. But it was,
right.
This is running a business. And if we're going to keep hiring people and giving people raises and helping more members and providing more services and benefits for all of our members, then we got to be successful. So it was about 3 years. And so for me, probably the turning point was the financial, where we could balance all the books, and we had money to put away for a rainy day, and we had money to try new things and do a strategic plan and actually meet those goals, you know?
Yeah. And now a couple years removed, the question I always have to ask small or just business owners or CEOs is, what were your biggest takeaways from COVID? Like I always say, it's obviously the big pause. We all went through something, but it caused us to really stand still for a second and in the business sense, be able to say, what can I do better? We never had time like we had during that time to be able to reflect on things we're doing. Why? Because we're just going. And then we get the big pause. What were some of the big things for you as a leader of your company that you were able to learn, and maybe things that stuck to this day because of that?
Yeah, definitely. My thinking changed significantly. I really believed that this is the way we're doing things. We've been doing it well. It's working. We're just keep doing it. And then, of course, the big pause. So all of a sudden, we all had to do things very differently. And even though we did have some people already working from home, we had a lot of people who weren't. And I think the biggest thing was we all got together. We did Zooms. For the first few weeks, we did a 30-minute Zoom, required Zoom. Everybody's cameras on every day.
Yeah.
Then we moved that eventually to once a week, and we still do it once a week now. But it was more about getting to know people even deeper, because even though I am a people person, I'm also a business person. So yes, I want to hear all about you, Stephen, but now we need to get to work, And so I think during COVID, we did actually start saying things like, how is your well-being? We had not really done that before. We created a well-being account where we gave everybody, at the time, the first year, $300. Everybody has a bucket with $300, and Steve, if you need to get a leash for your dog because you want to go out and get a walk, if you need to get a new Lululemon jacket, if you need to get a pair of tennis shoes, if you need to get some therapy, if you need to buy something for your kid, whatever will give you a little bit of your own peace of mind and make you breathe a little bit easier today, here's $300 to help do it. And it was minor, but it was big. And we talked about that, and we would say, hey, thanks CEA, I got some new running shoes today. Or hey, thanks CEA, I bought a membership for the gym this month, or whatever. But just really, we did truly start caring about each other more. We had a couple people go through divorce. We had a couple people lose people due to cancer during the pandemic, and so we were kind of grieving together, we were celebrating together, and we did get more back into the people humanity focus, and that was good, to just kind of, at the end of the day, we are all going home. This job is just a job.
Right.
It's an important one, but it is not the be all end all, and so that was really a good takeaway for me as a leader. The other thing was, I really felt like, well, you're the accountant can't work from home because she's handling money. You have to come into the office to do that. And so I really had to challenge my own thinking. And to that point, we're moving. Our office is June. So we're going from a 9 private office, more traditional site type setup with the cherry wood desks and the whole 9 yards, more conservative, traditional. And we're now going to a much smaller space that's about, couches and Zoom rooms and two private offices instead of 9, and saying to people, you come into the office a couple days a week, and when you come in, try not to have meetings unless it's with each other.
Right.
But on those days, you got to have those close the door type things. Do those at home, because we want people to come here and be together and collaborate and still be tight. We have quarterly meetings where we fly everybody in from all over in our board meetings. So we're just trying to create a whole new space, and that's one of the new things is when we get together, having a bigger purpose than just reporting out, but having experiences when we're together that, of course, hopefully further the business and help our members, but also help us as individuals.
Yeah, it seems like the workspaces that we've heard about, like at Google and Apple, are now coming into like what you're talking about. It's really
kind of like we're making our own WeWork in our own little self.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I could easily point out your positives as a leader just based on our conversation today, but I always like to ask, whoever is a guest is like, what do you feel like are like your positive things that you do, and then things like you want to get better at and you want to work on, right? We're always learning. I always say if you're never learning, then you should get out, because you should always be learning and trying to get better. So what are those positive things that you're proud of, that you think you do well, and what are the things that you're like, I need a little work on that?
Well, I think probably, and this may be true for a lot of people, but my biggest positives are probably also my biggest negatives.
Yeah.
We're big into the Gallup Strength Finders, and we believe in that with our team, and we do coaching for a lot of our members on Strength Finders. And so my big ones are like, woo, I'm really good at winning over others. I'm really a great extrovert, but am I getting deep enough with somebody?
Right.
Am I just making a whole bunch of friends, or am I making some real
Oh,
relationships?
Kim, we relate.
You know?
We relate.
You're probably a woo.
Yeah.
And same, I'm an activator. You know, I get things done, but I am also impatient. So, you know, my husband will remind me, you know, he'll be like, okay, you're in your activator and you're not, you know, I'm not one of your employees right now.
Oh
so
my gosh.
sit down a little bit and we'll talk it through, and you're not going to make the decision for us, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, my biggest strengths can easily be my weaknesses but for me personally, I'm really trying to work on my listening and my patience, and not making any knee-jerk decisions, giving myself more time, you know, to just, I don't be okay with inaction, you know, instead of being the activator. Hey, I'm not sure what to do. Maybe let's not do anything today, or maybe even tomorrow, even for a week, and it'll eventually come to us.
Yeah, I've got a 24-hour rule that I learned over the years, and just because you're in a different state. When you're in an emotional state, depending on what it is, it's coming at you. You know, it's probably not good to react right away, right? Because you don't know what's going to come back. But when you've had 24 hours to think about it, you've got everyone can calm down. Boom. Now we can talk about it. And it's because I don't like confrontation. I'm not big on that. So the 24-hour rule is very big for me, because not only does it calm me down, hopefully it's going to calm the other person down. You know, we can have a decent discussion on things.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's great advice. And you're right. That's what we often tell, you know, an employer will call in and say, you know, I want to fire, you know, put in a name, Cindy.
Yeah.
You know, well, how long has Cindy been there with you? Well, she's been here for 6 years or 7 years or 26 years. And you just want to fire her today. Okay, let's slow down a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on, and is there another way to tackle this? And then at the end, just like you said, we'll say, why don't you sleep on it? Just sleep on it. At the end of the day, you make the call, but give yourself a little more time and give us a call back, and we can talk through it again before you really make that call, you know?
I mean, folks, I am so glad that we did this podcast for this reason. If you're an employer out there, and especially in the small business segment of 50 or under, which, by the way, is 70% of the business that Kim has talked about today, to me, it's a no-brainer that you jump on board with CEA. Okay, again, that's California Employers Association, $99 a month. And I know this segment has been dedicated to you, but getting back to that, like, to me, that's the biggest thing that has stuck out from this, that this should be done, hands down. Put it in the budget. Like I said, a little over $1,000. And you just gave like kind of an example, right? And that's the deepness that you're going to get when they call and they speak to one of your team members, the 24 that you have there. And I love the personalization too, that if you latch on with someone, that you can, you know, request that person. So you're making connections in many different ways.
Yeah. No, we're tired of being the best kept secret.
Yeah, exactly. And so with marketing too, I was just curious on that. You said, you know, obviously the Google searches are big, right? Because all those questions that are asked will hopefully lead to you. But what do you guys do in terms of other marketing to get the word out and to say, like you said, this is the best kept secret. We don't want it to be a secret.
Right. So you mentioned Stephanie Neely earlier. She's great. She's our marketing director, and she has a really wonderful, deep background, very knowledgeable. So digital marketing is really, and again, I think for a lot of people through the pandemic, we used to do things kind of the old-fashioned way. We would fish one at a time. You know, we would go one place here and talk to 20 people, then go one place here and you know, California is pretty darn big. You got to go a lot of places to hit a lot of people.
Right.
So we do a lot more now virtually. We do a lot. I mean, again, during the pandemic, we were doing free webinars. So normally we would charge, you know, like $69 or whatever if you're not a member and so on. But we decided during the pandemic, you know what, let's just be humanitarians about this, and let's just offer as much free advice for all employers. And we had webinars then which, traditionally maybe we'd have 50 to 100 people to a webinar. We had webinars with 800 people. We were like breaking our own internet, and so we did a lot of free stuff like that to give back to just employers at large, and just a lot of virtual. We really reached a lot more people, especially California. You got people in little tiny rural areas or huge where they can't go somewhere, or they're in the middle of LA and they don't want to drive anywhere.
Right.
So virtual has really, and again, because of the pandemic, it's much more accessible for people, been successful for us in reaching a lot more people than we ever did before.
Yeah, I was looking at the website, and the one thing is when you go to the services, I'm just going to read them down: employee handbook, coaching, workplace investigations, on-site assistance, recruiting, employee action hotline, compensation services, safety, labor relations, affirmative action plan, Spanish services, outplacement, and workforce development. And I mean, so you guys cover the gamut and then some. So I mean, really, there's nothing that can't be answered as far as like questions are concerned.
Correct. If it's about your employees and people and employee issues and relations, we got you. And if we don't know it, then we've got a partner who can. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
So we're all about resources, and again, back to the beginning, peace of mind for employees.
So Kim, as we get to the end of this conversation, looking ahead, I don't know if you're one of those people that, one day at a time. There's people like that. There's people who look a month ahead, a year ahead, 5 years ahead. But I'm just curious of what the vision is for you and the company as you guys move forward.
I do set goals. I mean, and what I've seen in looking back for us, we've had slow, sustainable growth. I would like to see that ramped up a little bit, but I still want it to be doing it right. So I would say, I'd like to see that slow, sustainable growth be fast, sustainable growth. I don't want us to grow too fast that we can't keep track of it and make sure we're doing a really great job for all the people who are asking us to do a really great job. But yeah, I just want us to keep getting bigger and bigger. And I've got a lot of people at my right hand and left hand that someday I'll be out of there and making sure there's people to take over. And so we have good succession plans and a terrific board of directors. So yeah, just keep doing what we're doing, do it well, and touch more people.
I love it, and just the fact that you are a service, like you're helping people, and I love that peace of mind keeps coming to the forefront of our conversation. And so, lastly, too, is like how people can find you. We're going to put everything in the show notes, but I always like to hear from the guests. Let everybody know how they can find you. Right, 2 easy ways. Yeah, you can. Look at our website, which is www.employers.org. That's plural employers. And then you can call us 800-399-5331. Either way, you will be talking to somebody who can get you going right away. So I'm curious, do you guys do Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? Do you do that stuff? Yes. And if I wish I should have Stephanie Neely here beside me. So yes, we also have an Instagram page. We're on LinkedIn. And we do have a Facebook page as well. So, yes. How do you feel about LinkedIn? I've always, like my lane is Instagram. I've gotten off Facebook. I just go Instagram. But LinkedIn is like one of those mysteries for me. Like is it serving a purpose? I'm not sure. From your standpoint, I know this is kind of a bonus question, but I am curious to know. LinkedIn is more for business owners and leaders. So I do think there's a lot of great things. And you can put bigger stuff in, meaning you can put an article you've read, or you could put a podcast in there like this one. Somebody we'll do that. You can do more with LinkedIn that way. It's a great place if you're looking for work, you're looking to change your career. That's a good place to go. Instagram is fun. I like Instagram. It's fun, and and I think Instagram works for a lot of businesses that have a product. Like if I was a bakery, or I was a chocolate shop, or I was even an auto, if that kind of one and done things that people need, I think Instagram works. But if you're trying to share more about your business on a bigger scale with more information, then LinkedIn seems to work better for that for us. Yeah, thank you. That's a great answer, and makes me feel a little bit better about LinkedIn. And of course, we will post this podcast on LinkedIn. So Kim, listen, like I said, going back to full transparency of what I was thinking about this podcast, I knew it would be great, but just to unlock the conversation and then now be at the end of this and go, wow, that was a lot of fun. And so I just want to thank you. This was an amazing conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, and I didn't know really what to expect. I haven't done very many podcasts, and I guess I probably should do more.
You should.
But yeah, you made this really fun, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
All right, so she is Kim Gusman. She is the CEO of the CEA. One more time, that's the California Employers Association. I'll be back with the final word. Don't go anywhere.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode of Experience the Buzz by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. It means everything. Now, back to the show.
Man, what a great conversation. Oh man, so exciting. And you heard throughout the episode where I was saying this really was the type of conversation that represented the fact that I just didn't know a lot about the topic. And yet I feel like I'm a changed person right now because to me, my biggest takeaway is, first of all, what a great leader Kim Gusman is. Like, you can feel it, you can sense it. And those 24 people that work for her, I am sure they are very happy to be where they're at. So, good stuff there. That's props number one. Props number two, I can't get away from the $99 a month that it costs a business to be able to have the access to these amazing resources, right? So again, I'm going to share with you, it is the website, and it's employers with an S, so employers.org. Okay, and we'll put this in the show notes for you. But you know what? If you're a small business of 50 or under, which 70% of the business that Kim talked about, that's what's represented, you got to get on board. This is an investment that you need to make. To me, again, I'll say it, and I'm beating it like a dead horse, but it's a no-brainer. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Very excited because I am hoping that episode number 121 is going to surround something that happens on May 4th. And I'm not talking about Star Wars, May the 4th be with you. It's the annual Giving Day, and I'm hopeful to be speaking with Carrie Wood. We're going to try to make that conversation happen and get that out. She's actually the CEO and runs all of that, and the thing has exploded and grown year by year. So that's all I got for now. Talk to you next time. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for joining Steve this week on Experience the Buzz. Steve would love to hear from you. Leave a review or contact Steve directly with any questions at scbuzzard@gmail.com. To see the other adventures of Steve Buzzard, be sure to visit buzzardball.com.